All right, so these first apps are my favorite of 2026. They're both scratch pads, a place to dump thoughts and snippets or simply bits of text you want to come back to. But what's great about them is that they automatically save, so you can dump your text in there and it'll be there when you reopen. And this one I've been using is called Unnote. It has this very minimalist style, and I feel like you weird micro enthusiasts will be happy with the transparency options here. There are shortcuts for moving between windows, to open a new note and to view all your notes, but scratch pads aren't really meant to replace your Notes app, but to work with them. So an essential thing is that you can export, which you can do here, exporting notes as text, and then opening up into your Notes app of choice. But my favorite app to use as a scratch pad without a doubt is the Noto app. I think it's one of the best looking apps to come to Windows, with a beautiful monochrome UI and these cool looking animations. What's different about Noto is that it's more of a hybrid between a Markdown editor and Notes app. For one, you can organize files here into folders, which you can access by pressing this button here. But what pushes Noto into Notes app territory is that it can handle images and tables. You can drag these into the note, and I find myself just throwing random pictures in here for processing. Pressing the backslash brings up advanced formatting, math blocks and links. And then there's the ability to collaborate on these notes directly within the app. I highly recommend this one. This next app is one that almost nobody seems to talk about. It's called Microsoft Whiteboard, and it's basically a canvas for digital hijinks. You can drop in text boxes, diagrams, drawings, or use templates like mind maps and Kanban boards. For writing, the way I use it is mostly for story structure. For example, here's a simple 7-point story structure for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Cone. Each plot point is just a text box on the canvas, and because the board is essentially infinite, you can move scenes around and immediately see how the narrative fits together. That makes it very easy to experiment with structure and test cause and effect in a story. This is especially useful for complex plots like mysteries, where different threads need to line up, but it also works well for a simple mind map, like this one. Here's a quick mind map for the next big romance novel, generated using ChatGPT. But really, you can use it for any kind of brainstorming, and it's just a fun way to organize ideas, and it's completely free. You'll find it in the Microsoft Store. Now, this next app is a bit unusual. It's called LiquidText, and you can think of it as a very fun and interactive document reader and research tool, which is important if you're like me and spends way too much time watching YouTube. When you open a project, it splits into two areas. On the left is the document itself, and on the right is a workspace where you collect notes, highlights, and excerpts. Looking at the document I imported, a solid chapter of the romanticy between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. I'll use LiquidText to edit the story. If I highlight a section, I can immediately attach a comment explaining what needs fixing. I can then drag these comments into the workspace. If I group these together, the boxes kind of merge to show a relationship. And if I click the small arrow on the comment, it jumps straight back to the original texts. So you end up with this kind of scrapboard of ideas and notes, all connected to the source text. Another neat feature is the pinch tool. If you hold Shift and scroll, you can collapse parts of the document. This lets you compress sections and focus only on the parts you want to analyze. That being said, the free version is a bit limited. You can only work with one document, and some of the linking and drawing tools are locked behind the paid version. A license starts at around $129, with subscription options as well. So it's probably more useful for academics, researchers, or anyone with a lot of moolah. Next up is one of those apps I install on every new computer. It's that useful. It's X mouse button control, and it's a tool to supercharge your mouse. I don't even bother with mouse software anymore because of how shite they are. My Coolmaster software constantly crashes, and my Glorious software is stuck at a micro size, and that's with 150% scaling. So just avoid them altogether and install X mouse button control. There's an incredible amount of customizability to not only remap buttons, but adjust for chording. Pressing one button followed by another to trigger some new action. Pressing mouse button 4 here brings up Control plus space, which activates my Can Do menu. Holding the right click button and pressing the same button takes me back to the previous page. So this is really great if you have a mouse with only a few mouse buttons. You can assign media controls to buttons, add copy-paste functions, and launch programs. It offers profiles as well. Honestly, there's so much you can do here that it's hard to get your head around. I've been using it for like 6 months now as a full replacement for Glorious software, But I've also used it for years with several other mouse brands from Cooler Master, Logitech, and Razer, and they all work well. So if you want to add functionality to your mice, or simply don't want to install that crappy Synapse software, I recommend you try out X Mouse Button Control. Okay, so if you've used the Mac, you'll know that the lookup feature is freaking amazing. On Windows, there's a program called WordWeb that does almost the same thing, and it's basically a system-wide dictionary and thesaurus for Windows. Once it's installed, you can highlight any word and press Control plus right click to instantly see its definition. There's a pretty good amount of options here. You can change what the lookup button key is and also customize things like the fonts and theme. The built-in dictionary is also very good, and surprisingly, it even handles idioms well. For example, phrases like damp squib or peanut gallery return proper definitions and examples. There are also quick tabs for the built-in thesaurus, Wiktionary, and Wikipedia, the best source of misinformation out there. If you want more, the Pro version adds additional dictionaries and tools like anagram solvers and crossword searches. But honestly, the free version will be enough for most people. This is just a simple tool, but it's so convenient if you're constantly looking up words. Now, Windows does an okay job at showing how storage is used, except when it doesn't. Often you're using way more space that is unaccounted for or is simply way off the mark. Wiztree is a great tool I recently found out about that solves this. I've used Tree Size for years, but Wiztree has a much more sleek and modern design, and it's just as fast, if not faster. There's a visual representation of the storage at the bottom, which breaks your hard drive down into chunks. These large blocks show the biggest usage, and scrolling over these gives you specifics. I also like the button it adds to the context menu to check folder size from your file explorer of choice to quickly see how much space it's using, which you can turn off through the options menu. Now, one thing I do wish was included was a nice pie chart to show the breakdown of the files, something a little easier for my brain to take in. You can see this through another program, Grospace, but this program takes forever if you want to analyze your entire C drive, for example. But to be fair, it's not really for that and is designed for people who want more granular control and know which folder they want to tackle. Very good for keeping ahead of your storage. I hope this video helped you out. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I've got a ton of videos about apps and workflows coming. Thanks for watching. Bye.